Okay, guys, we have a very special guest with us today. Without this guy, Nick Hub Sports would not even be close to what it is today. We have the owner of the Odds Breakers, Kiev O'Neill. How we doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Lots of bowl games we just digested. It was fun. If I'm listening a little bit, I got these new aligners trying to straighten up my teeth a little bit. But no, it was a great time. The Rose Bowl was maybe it's funny. I've seen so many dang Wisconsin versus Oregon was nuts, but this is certainly one for the ages. The Ohio State one. I enjoyed every last minute of it, man. I was glued to the TV.
Me and you both.
The playoffs kind of stunk, but yeah, that was somewhat expected, I guess.
Yeah.
Or the potential of that was somewhat expected. I was surprised Cincinnati crumbled like they did. I thought they would have had since they played Georgia the year before. I thought they would have been a little bit used to the bigger competition, but that didn't happen. The Michigan really was hit in the mouth, so they couldn't do a lot. There are some things that definitely didn't go the way of that game, but still, it was they were going to lose that game no matter what. I think, but I'm excited about the national championship. We still got college basketball, man. It goes right into it, man. And I love college basketball. You know that, so I'm excited to talk about.
We're in the same boat there. Yeah, that Rose Bowl, man. I had Utah in that game, minus 6.5, and I was never happier to see a kicker come out to kick that game-winning field goal at the very end.
Oh, I know. I thought they were going to say, I'm not going to rely on my kicker because, if me as a coach, it's like you're going to score a touchdown here if you want.
Right.
But yeah, sure, run the clock down so they don't score again. And they're on their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, they're probably not going to score anyway, but they did the logical metrics way of doing it, which was run the clock down and kick the short field goal. But I've seen many of those missed. And if I'm a coach and I don't know what I'm doing there, but especially when your offense is that good, it's not like you're going to ever be out of that game.
Right.
But I was excited too because I middled it. I took the Ohio State second half -7. They're down 14. I'm like, oh, Ohio State second half minus, like no one's stopping this guy. Smith, he was
he had over 300 yards receiving.
Yeah, 347, I think.
Njigba.
Njigba. He was amazing, and I'm excited to see him next year.
Yeah, and the young guys, Harrison, and who's the other guy that filled in, but yeah. Anyway, that leads us into the national championship, Kiev. We have what everybody expected, I guess. Mm-hmm. Some of us went out on a limb and picked Michigan last week, but I won't mention any names. Maybe myself.
Well, you had 8 points to cover, so I mean,
that's exactly right.
It doesn't mean you thought they were going to win, right?
Well, right. I wouldn't have been surprised, but I thought they were going to cover.
Now, if you did a money line bet bigger than your spread bet, then yeah, you expected that.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't the case. Thank God. Either way, but national championship, it's a rematch between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Last game, kind of a box score breakdown here. Stetson Bennett threw for 340 yards. Bryce Young threw for 421. Georgia ran for 109 yards, and Alabama ran for 115. 40 of those were from Bryce Young. So the running backs for Bama didn't do too much. Mechie, the receiver for Bama, will be out. He had 6 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. So he'll be missed. Bama's defense had 3 sacks, 2 picks, and 1 touchdown. Georgia had 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, and 0 touchdowns.
You couldn't touch him.
No. So Georgia's this will be an average tempo, I would say. Georgia's 111th in tempo. Bama's 59th. So, what are your thoughts on this ball game, Kiev?
So I'll be talking about this a lot because we have shows coming up and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the basic thing about this game, and you can talk about stats. I mean, these teams are number 1 and number 4 in EPA margin. They're the top teams. I mean, they're top power rated teams. What else? What more are you going to say?
Right.
The spread, if you just look at pure metrics, should be 6 or 7. And I ran it through my algorithm because that's what I do, and it came up 29-22, right about that. And that's what it should come out from the metrics, right? But this is obviously a lot more than metrics. The reason the metrics are that high is because Georgia has an just absolutely outstanding efficient number on defense, 27.4 opponent yards per point. All right. Now that is absolutely insane. I mean, both Georgia and Bama are 11.8 and 12.2 yards per point on offense. But I mean, this 27.4, the next team down from that is Penn State at 20.7. So there's a 7-point difference there in efficiency. That says that a team can get 300 yards on you and they're not even going to get 11, 12 points. You know, I mean, yes, that's just insane how efficient their defense is on the plus side of the field. And that's why the metrics really point to Georgia as that number. Now you can talk about strength of schedule a little bit. I think Georgia had a pretty easy schedule. They got to play Clemson the first game. Yeah. But one thing that gives them a little bit of a disadvantage to Alabama is like they haven't been playing a lot of tough defenses, and Michigan's defense isn't that tough. I mean, Michigan State put points on them. It was a bad game when they played Michigan. I mean Ohio State. Now when I say not that tough, I don't mean championship tough. I mean they're an above average defense, but Michigan doesn't rank all that high in the defensive metrics. They're kind of like really good on offense and pretty good on defense. But that was the toughest. Them and Clemson was the toughest defense that their offense faced, but they only put up 14 points on Clemson. So then you look at Alabama, you know, their defense is ranked very high. I mean, yards per point, they're down there a little bit at 15.5, but still, I mean, their defense is number 6 in opponent yards per play, 4.4. You know, so Georgia still might have some problems there. So that's why the spread's down. And another reason why the spread's down below 3 is because of Nick Saban. I mean, you're talking about a guy that finds your holes, and that's what he did in the SEC championship. He found the holes, and he had the quarterback to beat him, and Bryce Young became that quarterback. Bryce Young had the best performance I've ever seen. Now, the problem is that Mechie is out, right?
Right.
And that didn't stick his head out yet because Cincinnati was so bad against the run that you have no idea what Alabama's backups are going to do this game, you know, with Slade Bolden. But if they're anything like Ohio State's Smith-Njigba that should have played more all year, then they're going to be awesome without Mechie, you know? And Ja'Cory Brooks and Slade Bolden are really the wild cards. That's what's going to dictate if Alabama still can keep up. But they didn't need Ja'Cory Brooks or Slade Bolden or even Jamison Williams this last game because they ran for 300 yards against Cincy. We don't know. The only thing I can go by is even though that Smith-Njigba and the backups for Ohio State, you have to expect they're just like Bama, right? They went against a Utah defense, and that skinny post out of the slot was killing Utah all day. You have to assume that Georgia's a little bit smarter than that. And you also have to assume that Lannings knows that he can't just put a safety over Jamison Williams, and he's going to have to look out for Ja'Cory Brooks and Slade Bolden, right? I mean, if you're thinking prop bet, I'm probably thinking Ja'Cory Brooks here, personally. So we'll have to look a little bit more into that. But at the same time, it's like, do you trust your metrics or do you trust the coach and the quarterback? Can Bryce Young keep doing this? I generally lead the very good team that lost the first game. You know, they kind of clean themselves up and fix it. So my metric says Georgia. I did bet Georgia when it was 3 or 4, and I had a good number on them when they lost the SEC championship. So I'm going to do it again, but it's not going to be a big bet. And I did find a 2 minus 115. I mean, it's at 2.5 to 3 now. So, if it gets to 3.5, I'll just buy back and see if I can middle with Bama. That's just what I'll do because I'm actually going to be more involved in the prop game here, Nick. I'm going to be betting. I'm going to be betting props, and I already have some ideas on which ones I'm doing.
That'll make it fun, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of surprising Bryce Young threw for that many yards with a defense like Georgia's that ranks first in offensive success rate, offensive passing success rate. They're first overall. They're the best cover team ranked by PFF. And so it'll be interesting if they do that again. I find that hard to believe. I would probably say this would be a lower scoring ball game. But we'll see what happens. Both teams are top 5 in yards per play margin. Georgia only gives up 11 sacks on offense. All season, they gave up 11 sacks. That's second in the nation. Bama gave up 37, which is 110th. But then you go back to the box score of the last game, and that's kind of flipped, right? So Bama got the sacks and Georgia didn't. Some of these trends, I'm just going to bear with me here, Kev. I'm going to go through some of these trends
I love hearing it. Yeah.
Bulldogs are 7-2 ATS in their last 9 bowl games. They're 5-2 ATS in their last 7 bowl games as a favorite. Crimson Tide are 5-1 ATS in their last six games as an underdog. They are 1-4 ATS in their last 5 bowl championship games. The under is 4-0 in the Bulldogs' last 4 bowl games as a favorite. 4-0 in Bulldogs' last 4 bowl games, which I'm guessing were the last 4. The under is 3-0, 3-0-1 in the Crimson Tide's last 4 bowl games. The over is 4-0-1 in the Crimson Tide last 5 bowl championship games. The over is 10-2 in the last 12 between the two teams. The dog is 7-1 in the last 8 games between these two teams. And this is an interesting one I just heard today. 55, there have been 55 games in the same season matchup that they played each other, and it was a rematch. Since 2007, the same team won both matchups, both games, 53.7% of the time. But the team favored in the second game won 79.6% of the time. So what does all that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Well, I can dive into a little.
Go ahead.
Your Bama as a dog line must go back to like 2006 or something. 1-5 as a dog.
I don't know where it goes.
That has to go back pretty far because how often is Alabama not favored in their national championships or playoffs or whenever? Actually, whenever. It's so funny looking at where's Alabama's a dog. Oh my God, I'm going to go back to the freaking Stone Age for this one. Yeah. Georgia did cover a couple times, but they should have won one of those games against Bama. And then obviously you had your Clemson there that screwed up Bama a little bit too, if you remember. When the first year that Trevor Lawrence won, I think that was against Bama. I don't think those against Georgia. Yeah, those against Bama. Bama's almost always there, and I just think that it's when you're looking at this game, you're not going to see a lot of syndicates coming into it. My numbers say under by 1 point, but the truth is Bama can score. It's like you almost have to throw out the metrics because Georgia doesn't face teams this good, and when they did once, Bama dropped 42 on them, and that thing went way over. So just because of you have metrics doesn't mean that it matches up to a number 1 and number 2 team. It's like which one's going to shine, offense or defense? Well, they're going to be chucking the ball if they're not scoring, if they're not moving the ball. I just think the running backs are going to struggle this game because I think both teams are fantastic against the run.
They are.
So if you want to look at those props as well, I'm going to be. But if this thing was at 3 for me, like an even 3, there's no way I'm touching Georgia or Bama. I think the fact that I got 2,
right on
2.5 is. Here's the thing: if after the show, if you want to bet Georgia, just wait. Don't rush. I mean, you're going to get a 2.5. It's going to, especially on that last day, it's going to fluctuate so much. You're going to see some stuff come in on Monday. But I'm looking forward to the props. I think that's going to be fun, and I'm going to have a lot more money, probably 3 or 4 times at least my bet, just based on prop bets.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Who you got winning?
What's that?
Who you got winning it?
I'll tell you what. I had Georgia in the first game, in the first matchup. I don't see any reason to switch off of that. Now, am I going to play it? I don't know yet. Probably will. But what were they favored in the first game? 7.5?
It was. I thought it was like 6, and then it moved up a little bit.
6.5.
I remember having a really good number on them, but this was after like the Texas A&M stuff was still fresh, and people's had the Auburn game was really fresh.
Yeah.
Head, right. And so, people like Georgia, and boy, you got hit in the mouth. Boy, did that loss sure benefit the SEC, though, didn't it?
Yes, it did. They got the matchups they wanted.
Yeah, they sure as that did.
Yeah, I would definitely lean the Georgia here. I don't know what I would do with the total. I think that's the thing with one game. It's a national championship. These lines are so tight, but everybody wants to play it because it's the only game.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked it's still sitting there at 52. I expected to go higher.
Did you
by now? But I think people are just a little gun shy because of how good Georgia's defense should be. This is a second matchup. So if you think about football games in general and the second matchup in the NFL, that usually leans to the under. So that's a concern too.
Okay. Well, good deal. We got a couple college basketball games to touch base. There's a decent amount of games on Saturday, Kiev, that are ranked against ranked, and top 25 matchups should be fun since we don't have college anymore. We'll wait for that till Monday, but we want to touch base on Michigan State and Michigan. Just by looking at this, Kiev, I had this line opening as a pick'em. I don't see either of these teams really having a huge advantage on the other. Neither defense turns the ball over much. The offense should be able to take care of the ball in this game. Michigan scores the bulk of their points inside the arc, and Michigan State turns the ball over 260th in the nation. So what are your thoughts here on this matchup here, Kiev?
What the hell happened to Michigan this year, man?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the big question. You know how Ken Palms are and everything. They have a team that they start high, and then it takes a while for them to get in the right area. I'm not sure if Michigan's in the right area yet, being ranked 27th with 6 losses. I mean, they're what, 7 and 6.
Yeah.
And their wins are against San Diego State, Nebraska, UNLV, which was a weird game, but they lost to Seton Hall at home. Arizona beat them up bad, and Arizona's a really good team. But North Carolina beat them, and North Carolina's, people thought was pretty good because they beat Michigan. Well, they just lost to Notre Dame last night. I mean, it's not like. Here's what happened. I mean, Hunter Dickinson's still Hunter Dickinson, but that's all they have. That Musa Diabate, I mean, he's young. He's a freshman. He's skinny. I mean, he gets banged around, and he's not doing a lot. And they're not moving the ball around nearly as good as they used.
They really missed their point guard from last season. That's really killing them.
Oh, my God. That and, Livers, their assist to field goals made is 52.3, ranking 156th in the nation. Last year, they were 57.5, ranking 45th. Teams with good ball movement have a high assist to field goals made. And so Michigan is not that team this year. And to be honest with you, Michigan State with under Tom Izzo has looked dominant to me. Now, I know they lost that Baylor game because they got punched in the mouth by a great defense. Michigan is not that defense anymore, and they have very bad ball pressure. Their guard play for Michigan isn't there. Now, this is an away game for Michigan State, but I'll be damned if there's not going to be some Sparty fans. Obviously, they're watching the game as well. It's a big game for Michigan, don't get me wrong, but this is a very big game for Michigan State, and I think the reins are changing back to Michigan State this year. I love how Gabe Brown's been playing, how Marcus Bingham's been playing. They actually have some decent 3-point shooting from Tyson Walker, 56% three. What the hell is that? Gabe Brown's even shooting 39% three. So the problem with Michigan State, you only have a couple away games to look at. You have their Northwestern one when they only won by 6. You have the Minnesota one, which is Minnesota's not that good of a team.
Right.
And then Butler was a long time ago. But, they did pretty decent on a neutral court, beating UConn, beating Loyola. I expect Michigan State to be favored, even though KenPom shows them as a loss. But if this thing is under 3, I'm taking Michigan State no matter what. And I would even take them under 5. So that's what's going to be a play for me is on Sparty.
I'm with you. Like I said, I have them as a pick 'em. If Michigan comes out as a favorite, that's an easy play for me. You mentioned about the defense on Michigan struggling their guard play. Michigan State's going to want to run this transition 3-pointers. They rank 11th in the nation in 3-point percentage. They're going to take advantage of this one by running in transition. Michigan's going to try to slow it down a little bit. So.
And the rebounding is going to be great because Michigan State's been missing, collecting rebounds. Michigan has 2 big guys down low, but those 3-pointers, they bounce off a lot farther away, don't they? So that's a big concern.
So I think we're both leaning here Michigan State, depending on where this line opens up at Friday night. So we'll keep an eye on that. The next game we want to touch base on, Kiev, is another great one. We're looking at Tennessee and LSU. LSU just came off that big win against Kentucky. Call it a big win. Neither were ranked, or they were ranked. Both were ranked. So that was a big win at home. It could have went either way at the very end there. They almost threw the ball away, but I have this one opening up at LSU favored by 5. What do you think here, Kiev?
I think LSU will be favored by 3 points. The total is going to be around 130. But here's the weird thing about this game. LSU under KenPom, their defense is ranked number 1. I'm not buying that because they haven't played a top 50 team until they played Auburn. Right. And Auburn popped 70 on them and it was at Auburn. I lost the over in that game, and it's weird because do you know how many points LSU scored the first 25% of that game? That means the first 10 minutes of the game. Just take a guess how many points they did, Nick.
How many LSU scored?
Yeah, the first 10 minutes of the game, the quarter, 25% of the whole game.
Well, I guess a good maybe 25.
1 point.
That's right. You tweeted that out.
I had the over, and it still went to 125, and my over was a good number at 140. The thing closed at 145, and I'm sitting here. You can't be freaking serious here. Well, Auburn's got a great defense too, and this was the first time they played a great defense. The thing that's weird about this, and this is why I picked this game, is because LSU ranks number 16 out of 357 teams at 15.4 seconds per possession. Okay. That is fast. And tempo is ranking 56, right? And then Tennessee is pretty fast themselves, 16.7, ranking 98th. So they're their upper, third, almost upper quarter of all college football or college basketball teams. But the reason for the low total is that Tennessee is number 2 on defense on KenPom at an efficiency of 85.8, and LSU is number 1 at 82.8. So you're like, what's going to give here? The speed of the game, or is it going to be the defense? Well, I'm starting to figure out, even this under Will Wade, you think run, run, run. They seem to change philosophies to defense. And you can kind of see some of that stuff when you look at how well they're rebounding the ball on defense, because usually offensive teams don't rebound the ball well. LSU's hanging up down there a little bit longer. And now you look at LSU's pace of play, I don't think that number is real. And it's not real because when you play easy teams, you're going to pop the ball off pretty quickly. If you're getting ball pressure, which is what Tennessee's going to do to them, they're not going to be popping the ball off. So, Nick, I don't know the number yet, man, but with this crazy matchup, I still lean under here at the 130, 131, and I might take it. I have to do a little bit more looking. I don't like how Tennessee shoots the three, ranking 211th in the nation, and I don't like how LSU shoots the three, ranking 250th in the nation in three-point percentage. So that's going to bring me towards the under.
Yeah, and I think a more accurate description of this pace, you could look at Haslametrics. They compare it to the average opponent, where Ken Pom is just taking your strength of schedule. So it's a little skewed. Haslametrics has Tennessee at 123 and LSU at 57th. So I think that might be a better way of looking at the pace of play,
because they use straight the schedule. Yeah. And that's a great point. So it's not quite as fast as what Ken Pom's average pace is going to be.
Right, but at the same time, LSU is still ranked number 1 in efficiency on defense, and Tennessee's ranked number 4. So just something from a different site. Ken Pom and Haslametrics are probably the top 2 that I look at for that game. So I just wanted to pull that up just to get a little a different take on the pace of play. So, but yeah, I would lean towards the under here. I mean, how can't you with these defenses? And there won't be many threes, Kiev. Both of these teams don't shoot threes well at all. I think Tennessee's ranked 211th in the nation, and LSU's 250th, or maybe they're swapped. But those are their rankings between the two of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference. From top teams. I mean, they're really bad shooting the three. And now the Auburn side of it, Auburn's another team that plays extremely fast, but their defense has been a lot better. Part of the reason that LSU only scored 1 point, I still like my over on that one, but this is a different situation because Tennessee tightens up when they play good teams. And that's the same thing that happened last year under Rick Barnes. It's they tighten up, they slow down a little bit. Tennessee's not shooting a lot of free throws. They're only they rank 350th in free throw attempts to field goal attempts, which is extremely low. So you're not going to worry about the whistles quite as much with the Tennessee game.
Yeah, that ranks them 348th in the nation in that stat.
Yep.
So 100%. Good stuff, Kiev. Well, those are the 2 games where do you have anything else you wanted to give out to any of the viewers or listeners?
Well, UFC's not started yet. It's going to be coming up January 15th. And then obviously Cyril Gane's going to be fighting Ngannou. So that's going to be just the best fight of the year, possibly already here in January, the 2 heavyweights. So I'm super excited for that. But as far as the NFL, tread carefully. There's a lot more information that's coming out. All of a sudden, Justin Fields is announced and line moves, and now Justin Fields got COVID. Line changes. It's just all over the place. And this is the most COVID that the United States or I'm not even sure the world has ever seen. Now, the good news is that it's not nearly as bad right now. Maybe it's because of the variant. I have no idea. But, my whole neighborhood's got COVID, put it that way. So, I mean, be careful. Wait. So, I mean, I'll give you a lean as long as Tom Brady's playing in most of the Tampa Bay Bucks. I like the Bucks at -8 here. And I think that, when you're looking at a great team playing a bad team and you're getting single-digit points here, that's something to think about, especially when they're playing here at home. It's like, what? Yeah. They're going to be motivated because they think San Fran's going to try too. San Fran's got a good chance.
Yep.
to beat the Rams. It's a lower spread. So I think Tampa puts one on Carolina. I don't think Carolina has a quarterback that can keep up with Tampa personally. So I kind of like that play.
Good stuff, man. I don't think we can leave out our guy Chris Farley either, right? Is there something going on with him?
Oh my goodness, what a
With
great job he's done.
we got to mention our guy Chris Farley. He's
Oh yeah,
what is he,
Chris
10th,
is
12th. He's 12th right now.
tied for 12.
Him and Steve are 12th in the Circa contest. So I just wanted to bring that up in the podcast.
Yeah, we're so rooting for those guys, and they're only 3 picks behind the number 1. Let's hope for some chaos going on. Let's hope it's not too easy pickings come Saturday when these lines obviously move. Let's hope they don't move a lot, and give the first place guy an easy finish. We want it hard on those top 3, top 4 people, so Chris can move up and Steve can move up to those positions. So we're really rooting for those guys. I had a good year too. I mean, 50 and 35.
That's right.
And I'm in the top 90th percentile, and I'm still, still not in the money. That's how tough of a thing it is. 59% in the NFL, and I'm not there, but I'll be in the Circa every single year because I love it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great thing to talk about. And our guys, Maddie over at footballcontest.com is a great proxy. If you don't live in Las Vegas or in Nevada, check out footballcontest.com, Maddie and Tony, and they'll be able to play for you, which is awesome.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, hey, let's get into where we can find you. Obviously, I know, but tell all the viewers and listeners where they can find you, what's coming ahead here for you, Kiev.
Check me out, theoddsbreakers.com. I mean, we have you there, which is awesome, Nick, which is fantastic. And you and I text weekly and have a lot of fun. We're just growing this thing, to be honest with you. If you have a little bit of experience handicapping, you got a record, give us a shout, and we'll see if we can add you to the board. But we got like 10, 12 guys very active right now, very great handicappers. I mean, obviously look at Chris and Steve, it's just having a lot of fun with this legalization of sports betting, and it's not going to stop. It's just going to grow. So check us out and check Nick out. Nick, fantastic year in baseball, and your college basketball is really ramping up too. I'm excited to see it.
I appreciate that, man. Good stuff all around. I appreciate it. And we'll end it there. We'll get back into college basketball here in the next couple weeks and keep that rolling.
Let's do it. Can't wait.
All right, Kiev. Appreciate it, man.
Have a great weekend, everyone.